Hi, this is Stephen E. Andrews, Outlaw Bookseller. Welcome to my channel. This is Reading List Rock, the thread on my channel in which I discuss the connections between literature and rock music and wider culture as a whole. And today we're going to do a Patti Smith unboxing. Well, we're going to unbox the National Album Day edition from HMV of Horses. One of my favourite Patti Smith albums. My favourite is probably Easter. I particularly like the sort of tone colours because the production of Jimmy Iovine and the organ, which really sort of reminds me of other favourite bands like the Doors and the Stranglers. And I was trying to work out why there was a reissue of this album happening now, and I haven't looked into it, but I think it's 45 years, possibly last month or maybe this month, October, that Patti Smith Group first played in the UK, in London, supported by the Stranglers, my favourite band. And what an ideal marriage made in heaven, you know, the Stranglers with their clear influences from the Velvet Underground and the Doors, the references in the lyrics to romantic poetry, their punk attitude, and yet they have a connection to the past of psychedelia. So there's a kind of thread then, of course, with Horses and with Patti. You know, there's very much that connection to literature there, and we've seen that flowering in recent years with her books, which have just been wonderful to read. And for me as a bookseller, to sell them has been, and to talk about Patti and her work with lots of other interested readers, has just been an absolute joy, really. And it's great to see her getting the acclaim in the wider sense that she's always deserved, and obviously the band as well, because Lenny's still there, which is great. And I last saw the band live in 2012. In Bath, and it was a fantastic gig. I was in the front row in front of the centre mic. There's my ticket, which is a sort of a memento I'll always treasure, because even though I bought my first Patti Smith record in 1978 when I was 14 or 15, and that was Because the Night, and I got into the albums a little while after that. I don't think I ever really understood completely or connected completely with what Patti does until I saw her live, and then it really sort of came to life for me. And I intended to see her again before the pandemic, and the gig was cancelled. It happened the other day, but because of personal illness and concerns about COVID, I didn't get to see her recently, which is a great shame. My partner, whose name is also Patti, bumped into her and Lenny a few years before the 2012 gig in Bath in a bookshop, funnily enough not the bookshop I work in, and she's a huge fan and gave them both a hug, and she treasures that experience because Patti Smith Group has been a big thing for her. So we're going to look at Horses, so without further ado we'll we'll unbox, as the kids say. So let's have a look at this. This was a bit late coming out, this little delay. So, as I say, this is from HMV, and I do support HMV because it's all very well and good to support trendy indies, and we need them. But in the days when all of us bought vinyl, those of us who are older, and cassettes and what have you, you bought records everywhere you could, especially in the punk era, and you just picked them up everywhere. And yeah, here we go. There we are. National Album Day. HMV white coloured edition. Of course, there was a French grey one, which is in a lot of books, and I've always fancied the grey one. And but because I support HMV, I decided to go for this because, you know, they don't get included in record store days. So the classic Mapplethorpe shop, which we know and love, you can't really go wrong. So I'm just going to slit open the shrink now with this little scissors I have specially. Do that gingerly because that's always like the key moment. Just tear the shrink off there, and of course, you know, you think of all the great tracks on this album: Redondo Beach, Horses, Gloria, wonderful stuff. And I always think of my countryman John Cale, the man who, as far as I'm concerned, invented avant-garde rock and roll, being involved with this as well. I know there were some personality clashes, but obviously John played a part as well, and there's that wonderful live version of My Generation, which he plays the bass on, which we all know and love from CD box sets, and marvellous stuff. So lovely, beautiful. It's beautifully reproduced, a very stark, harsh black and white, which really suits her look there. And she said that she was mimicking Sinatra when she threw the coat over her shoulder. Let's have a look. Oh right, okay, there's a polylined in it. It's on the Arista label, which is really nice. I think on the original grey vinyl, which I think is French, I think the label is the darker blue or dark grey, and that's very pretty indeed. I do really like that sky blue, that's lovely. So I'm just going to sort of curate this a moment. My curating standard is always to have a polylined inner from Covers 33, who I get all my stuff, my curating materials for vinyl for. Nice black one there, which I think is quite sort of punk. And also that fits nicely with the black and white aesthetic. That's actually quite a nice inner sleeve for this one, so so I might reconsider, but I am sort of in a habit of using these black sleeves. And then of course we get the PVC outer, which I've got ready there as well. And I can just see embossed very delicately on the top right corner. You probably can't see it because it's very, very faint. Is the Arista logo just there? You probably can't see it. I can only just see it myself in this light. Very, very smart. That's much nicer than my current 180 gram edition of horses, which will go on eBay because it's a space issue. So there we are. And you know, reflect on, you know, such a great album, Free Money, Birdland. And what I love about Patti Smith is like I said briefly about the Stranglers, is there's a connection to literature. There's a thread that runs through her work that connects back to the symbolism and the decadence, and you know, as far back as people like William Blake, you know, and the whole thing with the ecstatic performance of poetry in a rock context, of, you know, the road to excess leading to the palace of wisdom. And of course there's the invocation of Rimbaud, which comes up all the time. And if you want to know more about Rimbaud, I really recommend a book called Rimbaud by Graham Robb, which is a biography, best biography I've ever read. I would pull it out to you, but it's stuck underneath my bed and the cat has savaged it, which doesn't happen very much in my books, but my cats can do anything they like pretty much. So that's Horses. Looking forward to playing that, and I'll go back to the CD, of course. It's just the sort of deluxe edition, which I'm sure everybody has. And as I say, to me, with Patti, it's very much that connection to previous artists. Obviously, you know, people like Dylan are an influence. And Dylan's not one of my favourite artists, so I think he's important, obviously. But to Jim Morrison, I see as being a key precursor of Patti's art, of sort of bringing poetry into rock and roll. Lou Reed as well. So she's part of a continuum, and of course it fed into punk. And when I say it fed into punk, I don't mean punk, the formula. I mean punk rock, the original thing that was there in New York, Cleveland, London, dotted around different parts of the world, even in Australia, with bands like Radio Birdman. The authentic thing, the outsider music, the non-formulaic, that meshing of low and high art, which really is what punk rock is. So this is a key artifact of that, and I'm sure anybody watching this has got this album, has listened to it. So that's the white vinyl edition from HMV. I'm glad to give them my support because I really think we need them in our city centres, and that's absolutely lovely. So if you enjoy this video, there's a lot more Reading List Rock on my channel, more to come. I like to talk about the interaction between literature and music that occurs in the work of the best rock and roll artists. So do subscribe, like and comment, and at some point I'm going to do a lengthy analysis of some of Patti's works and compare them to literature. And I would say, you know, if you haven't read Graham Robb's biography of Rimbaud, make that your first stop. This is Outlaw Bookseller, absolutely delighted with this record, and you know, I'm going to have a listen to it very soon, and signing out for now. Bye.